The wait is over. The all-new Umoja Radio Network, home to over 40 Black-owned radio stations and podcasts, is here for you. Connect to the world's fastest-growing collection of unapologetically Black and proud media, from podcasts to independent Black-owned radio stations, and access to the important news and music you need. Umoja Radio is from our culture, by our culture, for our culture. The all-new Umoja Radio is available right now on Google Play and the Apple Store. Join the movement. Be empowered.
All right, Big Rob, how you doing today, sir?
I'm fine, sir, and you?
Maintaining, sir. Maintaining.
That's good.
See how Ian's going to treat us down here in Orlando, Florida. Election coverage for 103.7 to be. As we know, election is it's about 6 weeks away, right?
Yep.
And
about that.
A lot of people on the ballot, a lot of different races. This is our first statewide candidate. Our first guest on the don't say on the ballot. It's a statewide candidate. Currently is a state representative running for Supreme Court here in the state of Michigan. We want to welcome attorney Kyra Bolden. How you doing today, Miss Kyra Bolden?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing awesome. I understand if you is elected to Supreme Court in the state of Michigan, you would be the youngest there.
So I would not be the youngest. I would be the youngest woman, but I would not be the youngest.
Okay. All right. So
I just look very young.
You look like you're still in college.
Yeah.
And I thank you.
She's not even gonna answer that one.
Right. She ain't gonna even attempt to answer that one.
Well, let's talk about your qualifications. Where did you get your law degree from?
Yeah, absolutely. So just want to start out by saying I'm a lifelong resident of Southfield, Michigan, and current representative, but I went to the University of Detroit Mercy School of Law for law school. I have practiced as a criminal defense attorney, a judicial law clerk, where all you do is opinions and research and do things for the judge to make sure that they can make well-reasoned decisions. I then was a civil litigator at a law firm in downtown Detroit. And before I became a state rep, I ran for office for the first time in 2018 and was successful. And so I have seen a lot of the law in my years of practice, including making 5 laws. And I'm really excited to bring that experience to the Michigan Supreme Court.
Now, there was a primary race for this particular office?
So there's no primary for the Michigan Supreme Court. I was referring to my primary in 2018 for state representative. So how it works in the state of Michigan is the major parties actually have to nominate you in order to be on the ballot. And so the Democratic Party nominated 2 individuals. I was one. The Republican Party nominated 2 individuals, and the Libertarian Party actually nominated 1 individual. So there will be 5 of us on your ballot for Michigan Supreme Court.
Wow. That's good to know. So will you guys take up issues like abortion? Do you see that coming into play in Michigan?
So absolutely. So just to underscore the importance of the Michigan Supreme Court, the Michigan Supreme Court will be the last word. And I'll repeat that, will be the last word on abortion, on voting rights, on environmental rights, on LGBTQIA rights, some of the most important issues of our time. The Michigan Supreme Court will literally make decisions that will affect generations to come. And we've seen this from the United States Supreme Court. They're kicking a lot of issues to the states. We have seen with a ballot petition for the reproductive rights ballot petition. And when the Board of Canvassers deadlocks, that issue goes to the Michigan Supreme Court. Whether or not the residents of the Flint water crisis are able to sue their government was a decision made by the Michigan Supreme Court. Whether a school is able to enforce a gun-free zone, issue for the Michigan Supreme Court. And so the Michigan Supreme Court has affected and will affect our daily lives for generations to come.
Wow. And what makes you qualified to be on the highest court in the state of Michigan?
So not only have I seen a lot of the law in different ways, again, practicing criminal law, being a judicial law clerk, being a general civil litigator that has practiced in multiple areas, but I, if elected, would be the only justice that has had lawmaking experience. And why is that important? Well, one of the biggest jobs of a judge or a justice on the Michigan Supreme Court is statutory interpretation. So that means that they're literally interpreting the laws that I make. And I think that's a very important perspective to have. And I can share that with the other justices, because right now they're just guessing. They're guessing how lawmakers think about the law and how they make the law. And I'll be able to actually share my knowledge and experience with the others, and that may change a perspective.
Wow. How do you feel right now?
I feel great. I was just sharing a little bit backstage that I'm a new mom. So I've run half of this campaign pregnant, and I have a 6-week-old at home. And so taking her on this journey with me has been such a motivator. And actually, she's the reason why I decided to run for this particular position in the first place. But it's been an exciting ride, and I'll be able to share with her when she gets older that she came along the journey for Michigan Supreme Court, and for me to potentially be the first Black woman on the Michigan Supreme Court, and for her to be able to look at her mom and see herself reflected in the highest court in Michigan is really something special.
Wow, that is special. Go ahead, Big Rock.
No, I'm just thrown back. You know, I just got done with the prosecutor, so
Oh yeah,
all
you
this
forgot. You
law
just did an
talk,
hour.
all this law talk, boy, she got running circles around my head, and she looked like she just got into college and talking about she got a 6-week-old, and she a state representative. That just blew me back. So
Yeah, you is young, Kyra. Don't look at yourself as being you kind of young now. I got
we
kids your
old.
age.
Here's the thing. I think that we should have justices that reflect the state of Michigan.
That's
I
true.
don't think that our Michigan Supreme Court, which has 7 justices, should be a monolith. There's a reason why there's 7 people. And that means a diversity of backgrounds and experiences and perspectives bringing to the table. And I think that the Michigan Supreme Court should reflect the diversity of the state of Michigan. And that's something that I also bring.
There's nothing wrong with being young and brilliant and smart.
Yeah.
That's nothing wrong with that. And I agree. We need balance. We don't need everybody up there looking like Rob's favorite justice, Clarence Thomas. We need young folks. We need people that are. we need a balance. Terry Sabo, who is a friend of the station, says, "My friend, Representative Kyra Bolden," and he says, "This woman here is incredible." I guess that means he got your endorsement. You know, you got his endorsement.
I love Representative Sabo. He's a great friend to me, and he is a wonderful state representative, and I know that he will be a great senator.
Well, what are some of the pressing issues that you believe the Michigan Supreme Court is going to take up in the very near future, outside abortion?
I think one of the biggest issues is, and I just want to put a disclaimer, I'm going to talk about issues, but I'm not saying how I might rule on a particular case or anything like that. Each case has to be evaluated on a case-by-case basis. But what we know is that voting is an issue completely up to the states. And so if there's any challenge to who gets to vote, how they vote, where they vote, that is going to be an issue that comes before the Michigan Supreme Court. And again, I would like to highlight, we saw with the reproductive rights petition that the Board of Canvassers actually deadlocked. And when that happens, it goes to the Michigan Supreme Court. Should the Board of Canvassers deadlock for any reason, that issue will go to the Michigan Supreme Court. So again, the importance of the Michigan Supreme Court cannot be underscored, because the decisions made will literally affect generations to come.
Wow. If you have a question for Attorney Kyra Bolden, will you want to be called attorney or state rep?
Either is fine. I've never been one for titles, so mostly people just call me Kyra.
Okay. All right. All right. Recently, let me pull this up. You got a big endorsement. Talk about this endorsement right here from the Michigan AFL CIO. How did you feel when you got that endorsement?
Felt really wonderful. I always love to have the support of hardworking men and women that reflect the state of Michigan. And that's exactly what AFL-CIO is. It's just comprised of hardworking men and women. And I'm so thankful to have their support in this endeavor, and other great supporters, like our governor, Gretchen Whitmer, and our attorney general, Dana Nessel, and so many others I will be releasing over these next few days and next couple of weeks. We are very proud of the support that we've been able to garner through this campaign.
Wow. That's got to make you feel good, right?
It does, especially because I know the history of people trying for this position, and particularly Black women. I'm close with a number of Black women that have run for this position previously. One being, I'm very, very close with Judge Sheila Johnson. She's been one of my mentors and greatest supporters. And again, for representation purposes, so that little girls and little boys can look at themselves and look and see themselves reflected in our Michigan Supreme Court, and to have the support of so many people it's really humbling. And
Oh.
going on this journey has been a really wonderful experience.
Attorney Kyra Bolden is our guest today. She's running for Supreme Court in the state of Michigan. What is your experience like inside of the courtroom?
So, like I said, I was a judicial law clerk. And so, what that is, for folks that don't know, is basically the assistant to the judge. They do all the research, the drafting of opinions, drafting of memos, and really help the judge make decisions on how to rule on cases. And so, I did that, and I was trained as a neutral before I was in the mindset or adversarial mindset with the law. And I was a law clerk to the longest serving judge in the state of Michigan, Judge John A. Murphy, who's now retired. And he asked me to do a tribute for him as a state representative. So it was a wonderful full circle moment. But that's how I was trained. I was trained to do independent thinking, writing, research about the law. And then I became a litigator for the Lewis and Monday law firm, which is a very well-known law firm. It's one of the oldest and largest Black-owned law firms in the country, actually. And I practiced in multiple areas of law under 3 different partners. So labor and employment law, insurance law, municipal law, contract law. I got my hands wet in a lot of different types of law. So I have been in the courtroom a lot. Not only did I work in the courtroom, but through my litigation experience, I was in the courtroom every week and filing motions and, going back and forth with opposing counsel and whatnot. So I'm very familiar with what that looks like. And I think the most important thing is that I'm very proud of is one of my friends now who used to be an opposing counsel to me, that's how we met, is now such a big supporter of mine. And I think that we need to instill respect in our law again, because things have just become so contentious. And I think that's an important temperament to bring to the Michigan Supreme Court as well. We're going to deal with a lot of contentious issues, but we need people that are level-headed and instill respect back into our law.
Wow.
So,
Go ahead, Rob.
so if you could explain to the people of Michigan watching this why they should vote for Kyra Bolden.
Yes. So, as I said before, the Michigan Supreme Court is comprised of 7 individuals, and that's for a reason. I believe that the Michigan Supreme Court should reflect the diversity of the state of Michigan. And that means a diversity of background and perspective. And I bring a unique perspective to the table, being that I would be the only person on the bench as a Michigan Supreme Court justice that has actually made laws. And again, I think that that's an important perspective that I can share with the other justices. The other things are, there has never been a Black woman on the Michigan Supreme Court, and we can go back and forth as to why that is, but right here, right now, in this moment, I think it's important, again, for our bench to reflect the diversity of the state of Michigan. And again, I am a new mom, a proud new mom of a little baby girl, and all the children of Michigan deserve to be reflected within our Michigan Supreme Court. I think an important perspective is making sure that you know, as a justice, that the decisions that you make will affect generations to come. So that will affect my child, and that will affect all the children of Michigan for generations to come. And I think that that is an important, very important perspective to have when making decisions on the most important and pressing cases of our lifetime.
All right. Anything else you want to share before we go?
No, I thank you for this opportunity to share a little bit about myself. Yes, you can go to boldenforjustice.com if you want more information. You can email us, info@boldenforjustice.com. We love to see people in person as best as we can. We're traveling the state. We will actually be in the Upper Peninsula this weekend. And so please contact us if you have any questions for us. And we look forward to seeing you on the campaign trail. And please vote on or before November 8th.
All right. Attorney Kyra Bolden, running for Supreme Court in the state of Michigan. Back to more music. Thank you.